When a Grand Theft Auto 6 leak goes round, your brain goes straight to the graphics. And the graphics are genuinely the least interesting thing in any of this. Because sitting underneath the wanted meter, in a compressed clip somebody filmed off a screen, there are 3 tiny icons: a coat hanger, a face, and a car. Those 3 little pictures tell you more about how this game is going to play than every other thing that leaked this week put together. Think about how this works in Grand Theft Auto 5. You walk up to a car, you press one button, the glass goes in, and the alarm starts. 2 stars appear in the corner, and every police officer on that map instantly knows precisely where you are standing. Nobody saw you do it, and nobody phoned anybody. The game simply decided that you are now the guy, and then it told every officer in the state. And it is brilliant fun, genuinely. But it is also completely frictionless, and it has been completely frictionless for 13 straight years. So look at those 3 icons again, because they are doing something GTA has never done. So the police in this game are not tracking you at all, they are tracking a description of you. A coat, a face, and a vehicle are 3 separate things somebody had to physically see, and every one of them is a thing you are able to change. And once you understand that one idea, every other mechanic that leaked this week suddenly looks like the same idea wearing a different hat. Now quickly, before we go further, about what I am actually doing here, because I think it matters. I am not showing you the leak, not one frame of it, not blurred, not cropped, and not in the thumbnail either. Every moving shot in this video is Rockstar footage Rockstar published themselves, because here is the useful part. Nearly every system people are describing already exists, shipped, and playable in Red Dead Redemption 2, so I can show you exactly how each one of these feels without touching the stolen video at all. Start with the wanted system, because that is where the biggest change is. 6 stars are back, which we have not had since 2008, and every outlet covering these clips describes the same 6-point meter. But the star count is the boring half. Watch what happens underneath it. Red Dead Redemption 2 does this already, and it looks like this. You do something in front of somebody, and the game puts the word witness on your screen. Not wanted, witness. One single person saw you, and right now the only thing standing between you and the law is whether that person manages to reach a lawman. Now look at the options it hands you down in the corner there. You can threaten them, you can dismiss them, or you can beat them senseless in a field. If they get away, the red circle appears on your map, and that circle is the area the law thinks you are inside. Push it far enough and Red Dead stops saying wanted and starts saying hunted, and sends people out after you personally. Now put that machine inside a modern city with cameras, traffic, and 8 million people, and give the police a coat, a face, and a license plate to go on. And that is exactly what those 3 little icons are quietly promising. Which brings us to the second one, and this is the one I keep thinking about. When Jason walks to the back of his car, 2 options come up: loadout and storage. So the boot of the car is a container that your weapons actually live inside, and the wheel itself only holds a handful of them at any one time. Red Dead does the same thing, and it is one of the best decisions in that game. You carry what is on your body, the horse carries the rest, and the 2 are not the same pocket. It sounds like an inconvenience written down. In play, it is the opposite because it turns every job into a decision you make before you leave rather than a menu you open halfway through. What are you taking? What are you leaving in the car? Where are you parking the car so that the thing you left in it is still reachable when it all goes wrong? None of that exists in Grand Theft Auto 5, where the answer is that you are carrying everything. Always, forever. The third one is smaller, and it is the one people are arguing about most. There are fuel and damage indicators on the display, petrol stations marked on the minimap, and you can apparently pull in and pay to refuel or repair. Now half the internet has already decided this is tedious busy work, and I think that reading completely misses what a fuel gauge is actually for. A fuel gauge is not a chore. It is a reason the car you pick matters, and a reason a long drive is a decision instead of a loading screen. Pair it with damage that persists, and suddenly, the beaten up car you escaped in is evidence you are driving around in. The fourth thing is the strangest, and I want to be careful with it. So in the bottom corner of the screen, there is a small face, and it frowns at you when you commit a crime or a police officer spots you doing one. And Insider Gaming describes a purple horned emoji with a minus beside it appearing when the player stabs an officer. Red Dead has a version of this, and it quietly changes the entire game, because shopkeepers start charging you differently, and strangers start speaking to you differently. The world keeps a running opinion of you, and it expresses that opinion in prices and in tone of voice rather than in a number you stare at. If Grand Theft Auto is genuinely doing that, it is the single biggest change to the formula in 20 years. And I want to flag clearly that this one is the least certain thing in this video. It is an emoji, read off a compressed video by people who wanted it to mean something. The last of the big ones is the smallest on the surface. There are context prompts on ordinary people. Defuse and warn, options that appear because of what is happening around you, rather than sitting in a fixed menu waiting. And that is exactly the shape of the prompts you watched on this screen about a minute ago. Threaten, dismiss, beat. And that is the difference between people you shoot and people you have to deal with. There is a sixth thing that almost nobody is talking about, and it is my favorite one. People watching the fight footage describe a stamina bar in the top corner that drains fast every time Jason swings something heavy. In Grand Theft Auto 5, a melee fight is a button you hold down until the other person stops moving. But in Red Dead, a fistfight is a thing that visibly tires you out, and that single change is why fights in that game feel like events rather than inputs. So a wrench stops being a free answer to every problem, and starts being a plan that might run out halfway through. Now here is the detail that made everybody lose their minds, and it is also the one I would be most careful about. Jason sinks a basketball on the driveway, and a stat labeled focus appears on screen and ticks up by 2%. 2% from one basket. Alongside that, people are describing a character attribute system and a repeatable health item with diminishing returns, so the more of it you take, the less it does. And that is an oddly specific thing for somebody to invent out of nothing. Red Dead already runs on something similar. You have cores for health and stamina that you feed and top up, and letting them empty makes Arthur visibly worse at his job. If Grand Theft Auto 6 genuinely has attributes you raise by messing about, then messing about stops being the thing you do between missions and becomes part of the game. Shooting hoops on your own driveway would literally be character progression. The money system is reportedly getting pulled apart as well. The description going round is a split between cash you are physically carrying and cash you have stored somewhere safe. And that only matters because of everything else in this video. If the police can stop you, search you, and describe you, then money in your pocket is evidence. Suddenly, the boring act of going and putting your taking somewhere is a decision with a downside attached to it. The map images are the part I would trust the least, so let me deal with them honestly. 5 counties are named in the images going round: Vicedale, Mariana, Kelly, Leonard, and Lummox. I would treat every one of those as unconfirmed because a name on a picture is the easiest thing in the world to fake. But one of them is not a guess, and this is the bit I find genuinely persuasive. Leonard County already exists. The Leonard County Sheriff is a real named agency that Rockstar themselves have already put in front of us. So does Ambrosia County, which has its own sheriff department too. And that tells you Leonida is genuinely divided into counties with their own forces. Which does not make the other 4 names real. It does mean whoever made that image understood the actual structure of the state. Now step back for a second, because I think the scale of this is worth saying out loud. Everything I have just described, all 5 systems, is read off roughly 2 minutes of compressed video that somebody pointed a camera at. And Push Square reported the footage probably is not even from a recent build, suggesting it may go back as far as 2023. So the honest version is that we are reading 3-year-old tea leaves very carefully and getting quite a lot out of them. There is one detail though that I think is the strongest evidence any of this is genuine, and the lovely thing is I can show it to you without showing you the leak. Engadget noticed that a building in the leaked map looks identical to a building in an official Rockstar screenshot. And that screenshot is the picture you are looking at right now, published by Rockstar themselves months ago. A faker can invent a coastline, matching a specific building in a specific spot against a picture the studio put out months ago is a very different level of effort. So pull all 5 of those things together and what you have is not 5 separate features. It is one single idea, repeated 5 times. The trunk puts friction between you and your guns. Fuel puts friction between you and the far side of the map. Witnesses put friction between the crime and the consequence. Every single one of them slows down the gap between wanting to do something and doing it. That is Red Dead Redemption 2 thinking, dropped into a modern city, and it is a genuinely strange direction for a series built on immediacy. It is also, I think, the most interesting thing Rockstar could possibly have done with it. And we find out how much of this is real on the 27th. Rockstar are putting an extended look at the game on Netflix, 3 in the afternoon Eastern Time, exclusively for 6 hours before it reaches their own channels. 5 days from now. And when it lands, I will go through the whole thing frame by frame and tell you exactly which of these 5 systems actually survived.